This is Bill Hartzer, and today I'm going to talk to you and actually show you how to use a tool called Pitchbox in order to do outbound domain name sales using this tool. We can actually manage the whole process from finding potential buyers for your domain name, managing those particular contacts that come back and tell and for your the name, the name and email address of those people who are potential buyers, and send out a drip email campaign to those buyers or potential buyers, and then sit back and actually just watch your inbox and look for responses. So traditionally, when you have a domain name, it's been difficult really to find potential buyers. Say you have a few dozen domain names and you've been sitting around, maybe using them at some point, but why not just sell them? So let's go through this process. I'll show you how easy it is to use a tool called Pitchbox and to find and potentially sell these domains. And success, I mean, you're probably going to ask, okay, ask yourself, well, why should I use this? Well, actually, as you'll see in this process that I'm going to go through, in reality, you can find buyers, potential buyers, send out emails, contact them, and I have actually used this system and sold a domain within about 30 minutes or so. So this is something that is unique. Pitchbox has actually been around for a long time, many years now. However, we can use it not in the actual traditional sense. So let's get started here. Let me go and share my screen here. As you see, I'm at Google. Well, let's just talk about first the concept. Let's say we have a domain, Dallas Home Inspection. .com. What you'll notice, you have a Dallas, which is obviously a city, and what we call this is a geo domain name. So we have the geography, city name plus a service, or city name plus something else. Okay. These work very well. So that's why I'm going to pick this. Now, if we take the word Dallas Home Inspection and we search in Google, okay, you have DallasHomeInspection.com. Potentially, all of the potential buyers of this domain name are right here in the Google search results. Now, this is important because if you have a domain name that is something that is too generic, something that doesn't really describe a service, and I can get to in this, get into it later, but in another video. But basically, what this is good because as I scroll through, Greenworks, the Inspection House, Axiom, the Inspection House, Stonebriar, etc. All of these sites, except for Zillow, obviously, these actually are potential buyers of this name. There are certain ones you're going to see, Zillow and Yelp and so forth. Then you may, later as we go through this process, you probably wouldn't want to contact them. However, even just we go dig a little bit further, second page results. Okay, somebody who is on potentially advanced inspection service. I'm going to pull some of these out. Platinum home inspection, etc. Semper Fi. These are all potential buyers of your DallasHomeInspection.com. This is important because what we'll do here is I'll just go through this process. We're actually going to take Pitchbox and pull these results of these potential buyers, find the contact information, and then we'll be able to contact them directly through the Pitchbox system. Let's start with Pitchbox, okay? Have a project. The project's, let's look at Archer domains, okay? Let's take this project. Okay, each domain, each campaign here essentially is a separate domain name. And these are ones that I've tested out: premiumfoodtruck.com, goldmirrors.com, plasticstools.com, etc. These are campaigns that I've run. And to give you an example, goldmirrors.com, I've sent out about 115 emails. There's still 9 in the outbox that will be sent. And to be honest with you, after 115 emails sent out, I've gotten a 19% response rate. Some campaigns, premium food truck, 18% response rate from the emails, 13% response rate for some of these. Okay. These vary depending on the domain name and the industry. But let's start through it with a new campaign for Dallas Home Inspection. This is just this is not a domain name that I own, but I'd like to show you this example. I'm going to use the advanced operator search here. I'm going to find contact information. Okay, and I'm going to add some keywords: Dallas home inspection, home inspection, Dallas. And let's say I would like to look for in title Dallas home inspection. And let's put in quotes Dallas home inspection. This actually Google search in title : Dallas home inspection, or the keyword that you're using for this case, for your example. What we want to do is we want to find websites that have Dallas home inspection in the title tag of their web page. This is important because it's going to give you an opportunity to find additional websites or companies that have optimized their website. Maybe they're not, maybe their whole website is not about Dallas. However, they've created a page on their website called Dallas Home Inspection because they're kind of optimizing or doing some SEO regarding that particular keyword. Those are just a few. I might add in the word Texas and TX and so forth, but just to be basic, let's start with some four keywords. Now we have the opportunity to narrow down these results right now. To narrow down these results based on Moz domain authority, majestic trust flow, and citation flow, and some of these. However, if we narrow down the results now, then we probably will miss some potential buyers. And also, you may want to actually, if you're going to do something like this, to filter some of this out, you may want to actually narrow it down because Dallas Home Inspection, you're probably the trust flow, etc., is probably not going to be extremely high. And you want to, if, for example, a domain authority for, let's say, Yelp or Zillow is high. So you don't want to actually contact those companies. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to not get this data because I don't want to miss anybody. So clicking next, and really what I've done is I've chosen my keywords, and I like to actually name you have to name the campaign, obviously, and so forth. And let's go the main keyword here. What it's going to do is actually doing that search at Google. It's doing that search at Google. And with those particular keywords, it's grabbing the domain names. Okay. And then it's actually going to get all the contacts, all the owners of the domain name. Things like, there's contact information on the website. The Pitchbox, I believe, is connected with LinkedIn, so it may grab some information from LinkedIn as well, and associate maybe a company name or a domain name with some LinkedIn profiles and contact information there, and who is lookups, the owners of the domain name, etc. So as we do this, it may take a minute to run, and you kind of see how in the background it's pulling these websites and contact information, and so that's the basis. Now, without Pitchbox, we could go through this process. We could actually use something, go back here and actually use, various tools, or literally we could just click and hit contact and so forth and do this manually, which is fine, because we don't necessarily need the the tool, but this and the automation. But that's why, that's why we're basically we're using um, a Pitchbox. So basically, so while that is running, there are, one of these areas is actually, there's templates, and classic, like, these, um, so essentially, I'm not, I'm going to take another video and actually explain some of these templates. But essentially, what we're going to do here as we're waiting, let's look at, there's essentially three different emails that you're going to send out automatically to all these contacts. The first one is initial outreach, and I'm going to, show you here. Essentially, this was for premiumfoodtruck.com. Hi, Bill. We are selling the domain name premiumfoodtruck.com. If you're interested, you can go to this particular link, and then I have a statement in here about confidentiality, etc. That's a very simple email, and I can actually, import the template and use various personalization fields. I visit your website, such and such, and you can include things like email signatures, etc. So, and contact, they name their company, their first name, their last name, their company, their job title, etc., and their email address. Whatever you need, you can customize, just like a new email newsletter, etc. Any kind of outreach, there's a lot of customization. So essentially, the process is that we've pulled these contacts, then we're setting up these emails. And I prefer, for these initial outreach, before basically telling them, here's the domain name. And obviously, I'd go and I would change this to DallasHomeInspection.com domain name. et cetera, just to get them, very simple email, et cetera. So then once this is saved, we'll go on to the next, and send out the email, and go the second round of emails, waits 3 days, send out a follow-up email, and then, which is a reply to the first email, and then it waits 3 days again, and then sends out. That 3 days is you can change that. You can change that to 1 day, 3 days, etc. And I've noticed that it is essentially 3 days is sufficient as far as business days. Let's look at the results here, Dallas Home Inspection, and the contacts. So basically, what is found is it's found 151 opportunities, which is essentially 151 different websites uh, and potential buyers. We can go to the inspection phase, and here are actually all of the contacts. So for example, let's say I'm going to scroll through, and there are going to be some redfin.com, dallas.com, some of these et cetera, that are going to, that you can essentially go through, you can highlight. And this is kind of a manual process to basically filter and go through these. And so let's see, texasinspector.com. I believe that was a fairly good one for potential buyer. So in fact, it found one contact, and it has the contact here. And so that is found the person's first name, and their email address. So some domain names are going to find there's not any contacts found. You're going to find that some are going to find up to 12 different contacts. And obviously, there's 12 contacts, and some some of it is linked. We can target in and on certain people and find, look at their LinkedIn, et cetera, and really delve into, whether this person is someone we want to contact. So obviously here's axiominspections.com. Again, 12 people from that company, okay, is found. And so basically the idea is that once this automation is done, so essentially what you would do in this process, you're actually going to select the ones. There's 137 I've selected, and you're going to move that to the compose area. And essentially, in this compose phrase, essentially what we'll do is when we go to compose, maybe we've narrowed it down and removed some, but essentially we're going to basically go through each of these, remove contacts, etc., and clean it up a little bit. And then essentially, once the templates are set up, then we're just basically going to launch the outreach. And it's going to, and we're done with that campaign. That's kind of the full process in a high level. As you can see, I mean, we've narrowed it down. There are, based on your keyword searches, you may or may not have 120, 150, et cetera. You may not have that many. There may be some that have hundreds, 300 to 500 in some cases. But however, keep in mind, we only want to find really one buyer. And so if it happens to be one of these 12 people at, Amerispec, then great. They are monitoring their emails, and as it goes through the whole, each email at a time, send an email to the first person at Amerispec, at the company. then it will go through to the, then wait 3 days, send a follow-up, 3 days later. If there's no response, or you have uh, uh, continued with the outreach and you haven't sold the domain yet, it'll go on to the next person at the company. Okay, so this is basically automation. So we can go on at this point. We really, once we launch that, it goes into this process. Basically, let's look at gold mirrors. Okay, it's going to this process that you know better view here. It goes this process basically of sending the emails out, and kind of note as these emails come in, you do have an inbox, and so you can monitor that inbox. The system will actually look at look at the email accounts that you have added to the system, and it's sending out those emails. And if there's emails that are not tied to specific domain names, etc., then those are set as unmatched emails. But essentially, you're sitting and watching your inbox and looking for replies. And as they come in, you can reply exact right in the inbox here. And I have cleared out my inbox because I just finished. But basically, that's in a nutshell. So then there is additional information. Let's look at how many emails. This is the past 30 days. Let's look at the past 1 year. Was very active, from September and November, December, sending out 200 300, a couple hundred emails. Basically, I have still 127 to look at, and there's 81 emails that uh, have already been sent out, or sorry, waiting to send out, and then 1,785 emails have sent out. And as we see, we can look at the different campaigns. Response rate 19%. So that's fairly good response rate, I would say. And as far as, there are some domains, here's behaviortelehealth.com, 220 emails sent out, still have about 56 to send. So it's a very good way. What I would say is a very good way to manage your whole process of finding potential buyers and then actually finding the contacts. That's kind of something that has been difficult traditionally. However, Pitchbox does make it very easy. I also would go as far as saying that, that the E-Trip email campaigns work. And what I have found is that for selling domains, a very short email, quick, here's the domain name. Are you interested? We can talk about it. And, there either will be a reply or they won't, or they'll opt out or they'll unsubscribe, and that's fine. And, there will be people who will say, no, I'm not interested. Don't contact me anymore. Find their system in place here with Pitchbox that can take care of that. So you don't email them anymore. But essentially, it's been fairly positive. And with overall, looking at numbers, 27 campaigns recently sent out with a 12% response rate, and several domains sold. So, and some very, very quickly. Quickly, I mean, I'm talking about within 1 hour of sending out those emails and starting the campaigns. And so that is great. And this is a way to manage your whole process. Traditionally, if you have a domain and you're just, you just have to sit and wait for someone to contact you. And you can list that domain at various places like adam.com and afternic.com. But frankly, uh, there are certain domains that if the Google search results are showing potential buyers, then you can use Pitchbox to find those buyers, find the contact for information, and send out those emails. Now, you don't have to use, obviously, the whole system. You could actually just find all the buyers manually, find their phone number and call them. But this system for geo names, for names like that are very specific, let's say criminaldefenselawyer.com or defense lawyer, privacylawyer.com, acquisition attorney, ones that will bring back Google search results with those keywords. That is something that will find you the potential buyers, and that is something that you can use Pitchbox for. One last thing, obviously, if you have your own buyers or find them somewhere else, have a list of domain names of potential buyers that maybe own similar names. You can take those names and you can import them into and paste them into Pitchbox, and it will find all the contact information. You can put it in the system. So that's my general overview of outbound domain name sales using a tool like Pitchbox that is regionally for link building and finding contacts of website owners. But this is a great tool for domain outbound sales. If you have any questions, feel free to call me. I'm on social media. And you can email me and I will walk you through and help as you can. Pitchbox is available is a monthly fee, and you can send out essentially a certain number of emails per month using the tool. Next is I will go through probably in another video, I'll show you exactly the types of emails that I send out and responses, etc., that I get, and how often I send out the emails, etc. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.